youngsters all over India and across the world. Today, on this very, very important topic, the theme of this entire event, I want to talk about counterintuitive questions. I come from Jalandhar, my hometown. Now in April 2020, when India was witnessing the world's most stringent lockdown, and we were all feeling hopeless, angry, frustrated, and a lot of other things, this image brought hope. I don't know if you remember this. For the first time since the 1980s, we were able to see the Dhauladar mountains from central Jalandhar. Those mountains are some 200 kilometers away. They were always there. But just 1 month into the lockdown, all the traffic stopped, industrial production came down, and then we could see the majesty that was right hidden before our eyes, below the smog and the smoke and all the other things. That's what I clung on to. Now, ever since I was younger, like you, we were taught in our schools, and I'm sure you are as well, not to burst firecrackers, right? Firecrackers produces a lot of fumes, a lot of particulate matter, heavy metals, and so on. And this was taught to me. So I started doing an experiment about it. I went home and I told my parents, you know what, I've been told that firecrackers are bad, and I want to know how bad. So I went to the market, bought some. It was all very good because it was all for a good purpose. Came back, burst a lot of them. And I saw the smoke coming up. It was very dense. It was not the smoke like the smoke you see when you burn paper or wood. It just stayed in the air. After some time, I could see sparkly grayish silver material falling on the earth. And I could understand this cannot be healthy. This cannot be healthy for human beings. This cannot be healthy for the planet. And I could understand this. And that day, I took a vow never to burst firecrackers again. And I thought everyone else would also feel the same way. Wouldn't you feel the same way? How many of you feel this way? How many of you still burst crackers on Diwali and Gurpurab? It's okay. It's okay. I'm not blaming you. Because it happens with all of us. If you want to see those mountains, then bursting firecrackers is a clear no-go. But then my friends are there, and my relatives and everybody else. It's a celebration. It comes only once a year. And I have to do all the stunts, by the way, with all the different firecrackers, right? That's what I want to do. Now, what happens is, we think in the entire world, it's such a big world, and I'm such a young person, who will listen to me? How do you feel, how many of you feel that, very few people will listen to me if I say something? Yeah? Let's see how many of us are there, all right? On this planet, around 16% of the population, 1/6 of the population is between 15 to 24. That's classified as youth. Around 42% is under the age of 25, so that includes all the other school students as well. Around 39, under the age of 39, there are 63% people, almost. And there are many organizations in the world which actually classify youth below the age of 35. Sadly, in a few months, I will not be considered youth. And I'm thinking not to work with those organizations anymore. But you'll be surprised that this week, November 15th, we are going to cross 8 billion population. And 60% of that is youth. So, who basically inhabits the planet today? Okay, good. Now, where does this youth live? India is the youngest country in the world, followed by China. And then we have other countries, Indonesia, USA, Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh. What do you see in this list of countries? Apart from the US, all are middle income economies, developing economies. So most of the world's youth, where does most of the world's youth live? In developing economies. And sustainability wise, which countries are suffering the most? One of the worst polluted countries in the world is India. The subcontinent, Indian subcontinent, which has India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, three major countries mentioned over here. We have close to 1/4 of the world's population and around half of the world's problems. But that is all sad. I don't want to listen to sad news. Do you think it's sad? Yes? Anybody else who thinks it's actually good? Yes? Good? As I said in the beginning, counterintuitive. It's good. You know why? Because we have the opportunity to do something about it. We have opportunities everywhere to do everything about it. But then I'm youth, who will listen to me? Around 73 million people, youth, 15 to 24, will be unemployed in 2022. 73 million, that's a lot. So there are very few jobs available for youth. The world's economy has seen the worst growth rate since 2000 and 2001 because of various reasons. COVID, obviously, of course, there's a war going on, and then recession going on. So whatever the others had to do who were not youth, they have done it, and it is over. Who is supposed to take it forward? Who is going to inhabit the planet? So who is supposed to change it? Youth. But then I'm youth, nobody will listen to me. Now, I thought the same, and I thought there is no way we can change things. But then there is this beautiful concept called the Sustainable Development Goals. How many of you have heard about the SDGs? How many of you know when the SDGs are supposed to be achieved? 2030, yes, absolutely right. How many years are left? No, it's close to 7. And we are nowhere near achieving those targets, by the way. But then there is this beautiful framework available right now. I did not know about the SDGs till 2019. I'll be very honest with you. I had no idea about it. And I was listening to this lecture in Japan from the Director Liaison of Food and Agriculture Organization. And he kept on talking about in his presentation something about SDGs. And I consider myself, a very well-informed person. And I thought, what is these SDGs? And once I came across it, it just blew my mind because this is what I was looking for. This is what the 9th standard me, who wanted to quit firecrackers and change everybody else's life, was looking for. And it was right there in front of me, but for 4 years I hadn't heard of it. But now it existed. Now it is there. So, what we did was, we means my team and I in Japan, we started exploring more about the SDGs. And we saw so many TED Talks about the SDGs. There were beautiful descriptions about the SDGs, sustainability, how to achieve it, what to do, how to learn about it, 17 goals, 160 plus targets, and then the intersection, if one SDG is achieved, the other one is impacted, and so on and so on and so on. There was so much information available. But you know what was not there? How to do it. How many of you feel that I still don't know how to go about achieving the SDGs? How many? And that is why we kind of leave it, and we go back to our social media and everything else. How many of you feel frustrated and you actually block that frustration because you can't do anything about it? You don't know how to do anything about it. Yeah? We've all seen the weather outside. Do you think it's normal? No. Do you want to do something about it? Yes. April 2020, we could see the Dhauladhar mountains. Today, can we? The same thing happened from Mohali. You could see the mountains from Mohali as well. You can't anymore. What to do about it? Now, what we did was, we thought, okay, we need to do something about it. There are so many people doing small things, like the other speakers. Kalyan was talking about Proto Village and so on. And there are these wonderful visionaries across the world, spread across the world, who want to change things, and they're doing small things in their respective pockets, changing lives on a daily basis. But then they're all in silos. They're in the small pockets, they're not connected with others. How many of you had known about the speakers today here before, obviously, everything was organized? How many of you knew about them? A few of you knew about a few of them, right? Not all, correct? But now you know, oh my God, this is happening. Was I living under a rock? So that's what we thought. Why are these ideas not being shared with each other? So we came up with something called Sesame, and this is my team, by the way, in Japan. It is a peer-to-peer learning platform. We created a beta version of it, and it taught us a lot of things actually. If a farmer in Botswana is facing some problems which are similar to what a farmer in India or maybe Colombia has faced earlier, how can that farmer from India help the farmer in Botswana? Is there a way to connect them? It's practically impossible, isn't it? They will not even know that, okay, there is help available. So what do? We have this tendency of now waiting for help to come to us. The United Nations, the WHO, the World Bank, the government, the big NGOs, they will come and solve problems for us. Will they come and solve problems for us all the time? So that's what we created. Let's create a knowledge sharing platform. Of course, there are language barriers, there are cultural barriers. But once the idea reaches the required person, that person can customize it and solve the problem that they're facing. We started from there. We understood that there are more people who want to do things, but they're not doing anything. We all accepted just now that we're not doing much because we don't know how to do it. A lot of budding lawyers, I'm hoping here, and you would love this concept. The law of inaction. Even if you're not doing anything, that has a consequence. You think it's not my job, why should I do it? There are so many other people doing it. But if you're not doing it, the planet belongs to you, and you're not doing it. Who's going to inhabit the planet? You. Who's going to take care of it? You. And that is what the topic of the presentation was. You have to be selfish for sustainability. A lot of you had this idea in your mind, right? There are people who are completely selfless, and they will be doing things because they've dedicated their lives to the planet and people and animals and plants and so on and so forth, right? I'm not that selfish, I'm just plain human. Well, I want you to be selfish. Let's see, how can you be selfish? By taking action. Where and how? Academically. Question constantly every concept that is taught to you in any subject. Research from the right places. 60% of the news on internet is fake news. Sustainability majors in your university. How many of you are planning to go to college and do a particular course which does not involve sustainability right now? How many of you would like to pursue something in sustainability, but don't know whether it will really give me benefits or not? Well, the world is going through a huge transformation. They need you. So please take up that charge. Change the campuses in your school and university. Try to make it more sustainable and so on. The list is endless. But you have to start doing something. You can't just sit and let others take charge or others do it because you're assuming that others will do it. If you start doing things like this, we will ultimately be able to push some regulations into place, change regulations. If regulations change, then the industry will slowly change. We're talking about air pollution, right? Oh, sir, it's impossible to solve it. There are so many stakeholders, people, industry, farmers, politicians, everyone is involved. How do we change it? Slowly, it will change. If we change the industry, if the industry changes, because you are the industry of tomorrow, there will be more transparency. If there is more transparency, the governance will be better. People will be able to ask questions without hesitation and fear. If the governance is better, then we can improve consumerism because now everyone will know what is good and what is bad. Right now, we are not allowed to know what is good and what is bad. Like a few other speakers also talked about the same thing. Okay, let me tell you how to be selfish. So I work with a lot of organizations across the world, and a couple of projects from Yunga, Japan, the Youth and United Nations Global Alliance. One of them is trying to create more awareness about the hunger in distressed and stressed areas in Bangladesh. Another one is actually working on mental health awareness in university campuses in Japan, because there is no such proper mental health awareness ecosystem existing there. Then, in Actors chapters in DU, there is a project called Project Prava. What they're trying to do is solve the stubble burning problem in a particular way. They're creating earthen pots, lining them inside with procured stubble, and then gifting those pots to everyone to use for planting. That way, they solve the stubble problem, and they also give fertilizer and manure to the plants. Similarly, there is Project Vikas, which is giving this guidance to everyone that there are other options available. Now, I also work with couple of non-profits called Purpose in Motion and Seeds of the Future, and I work with different university students across the world. In Ghana, and this is last week, I actually mentored a bunch of team members on how to create a mentorship app using the USSD telecom system existing over there. In Iceland, I was involved in the mentorship of AI-based breast cancer diagnosis tool, which can improve the diagnosis. Around 2 million women every year are misdiagnosed. Then, Finland, VR app for the elderly. Latvia, Estonia, they're trying to create smart glasses for the visually challenged. Brunei, smart wheelchair for the disabled. Spain, AI-based irrigation management system. Czech Republic, community river cleanup project for landlocked countries. Colombia, AI-based food reduction. Iraq, lobbying for solar power. Can you imagine, Iraq is full of oil and they have so much air pollution because they just burn oil for everything. They want solar to come in. Algeria, virtual labs for school students because the schools do not have proper labs and the students' concepts do not get clear. Saudi Arabia, increased car sharing for women. Oman, sensor-based drainage systems because their streets get flooded every rain. Do you understand? Do you relate to that? Ghana, again, AI-based illegal mining monitoring, because there's a lot of illegal mining which happens in Africa. Some of the high school students that I work with in India, they are working on mental wellness and psychology, more than 10 projects, mental hygiene, biomedical waste management. This is actually one of the national level award-winning papers. Plastic pollution, COVID-19 behavioral science, how people came up to help each other using WhatsApp and Twitter. Water filtration systems in India. You will be surprised to know that water that we drink is not fit for human beings because it's not natural. It's chlorinated, it's chemically treated. And look up France, they are doing something interesting about it. Environmental impact of crypto and NFTs, dance therapy, ergonomics for taxi and tuk-tuk drivers. They drive and sit for 12 to 14 hours every single day. What are we doing there for their lumbar support? Intellectual property rights for music in India. And this is actually from DPSChandigarh. Yashwant has actually written this article. Poverty alleviation policy assessment, seaweed cultivation, CRISPR. If you don't know, this is genetic editing. Real-time notification of wildfires, and drone and river tech, which can be used in hazardous areas on the planet as well for nuclear waste reduction and so on. Now you might be saying, sir, but then, how to get inspired and motivated for it? How do I do it? Every time I get this question, I imagine this. I go out of my house and I go to my terrace. Sometimes I climb up the roof and try to see if I can see the mountains again. And I can't. And every single time that I can't, I know that I have to go back. I have to work with others, because this is something that one person cannot solve. We all have to solve it together or it won't be solved. So my question to you is, what is your counterintuitive thought right now, which everybody else says is stupid, is bad, this should not happen? Because that is a thought that will bring sustainability to our planet.